In this video, we're going to see, given a set of points, how to determine if it's a linear equation, a quadratic equation, or an exponential equation. We're going to start off with these points. These are the x's. These are the y values. So you know a point consists of an x and a y coordinate. So one point would be -1, 7, 0, 3, 1, -1, etc. What do you know about the x being 0? That point, 0, 3, would be the y-intercept. Because wherever something crosses the y, x is 0. Something to be aware of when you're looking at a set of points. So let's begin. If the x's are increasing by 1, then we can examine successive differences or ratios. To go from here to here, if I went from, say, 2 to 3, we went up by 1, but you don't do 2 minus 3 gives you 1. You take the second number and subtract the first to see if I do 3 minus 2, then it went up +1. So here, when I go from here to here, I'm actually going to go 3 minus 7. That's -4, right? -1 minus 3 is -4. -5 minus -1, be careful, that's also -4. And -9 minus -5 is -4. You could put these in parentheses, and it's good to use a calculator. I love the TI-30XS. If you did -9 minus -5, you get -4. So you start with the second number and subtract the first, or the third number and subtract the second. This is the first set of differences, and we already got a pattern. So this is a linear. It's the exact same number, so it's a linear equation because it happened at the very first set of differences. The difference is -4, and that's going to be the slope. M stands for mountain slope, so M is -4. M stands for slope, but I call it M, mountain slope, to help you remember. The linear equation that we want to put it in is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Why is that the y-intercept? Because when we put in a 0 for x, then y is equal to that number. So we know the m is -4. And here our y-intercept is 3. Our b is 3. And our m is -4. So our equation for this one is y equals -4x plus 3. If you don't know how to find the y-intercept by looking at 0, or say you didn't have 0, I will show you the other way to find out what the y-intercept is. It's still m is -4. And if you write y equals mx plus b, plugging in -4 for m, you can choose another point for the x and y. Let's choose 2 and -5. We'll plug in -5 for y, 2 for x, and remember m is being multiplied by x. And then we're going to solve for b. Remember, b is our y-intercept. And we're going to hopefully get the same number, 3. -4 times 8, -4 times 2 is -8, plus b equals -5. Add 8 to each side to solve for b. And -5 plus 8 or 8 take away 5 is 3. So we still would get the same answer. So it will be y equals mx plus b. I like to write the formula, then plug in. We're just going to plug in the m and the b for the equation. Negative 4x plus 3. So that is a linear equation. Let's look at a different kind. Remember, if the x's are increasing by 1, then we can try to solve to find the successive differences or ratios. So are we going to say negative 27 minus negative 12 or go backwards? We're going to the next ones, but we'll say negative 12 minus negative 27 and put that in the calculator. Negative 12 minus negative 27. So it's positive 15. Negative 3 minus negative 12 is 9. 0 minus negative 3 is positive 3. And negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. This is the first set of differences. I know it looks messy because I wanted to show you that you take this number and subtract that one. I didn't write down the negative 3 minus negative 12, but you can put that in the calculator and get 9. 3 and negative 3. So it's not linear because we didn't get a consistent number when we subtracted. Let's try these. 9 minus 15, 3 minus 9, and negative 3 minus 3. Remember going from right to left. So 9 minus 16, 9 minus 15 is negative 6. 3 minus 9, also negative 6. And negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. It doesn't cancel each other out unless one's negative and one's positive. At this second juncture, we were able to get a consistent pattern. So this is called quadratic. Linear just has one x. A quadrangle is a four-sided figure. And if you think of a square, that's going to help you remember x squared. This is a quadratic equation. Instead of linear, which was y equals mx plus b, this quadratic is going to be ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. This was the second difference. How do you find the a? A is the second difference divided by 2, or half the second difference. What was our second difference? Negative 6. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Our A is negative 3. I recommend that you circle it when you get the letters when you solve. C is the y-intercept. Because we have where x is 0 in our chart, then if x is 0, the y-intercept is whatever the y value is there. Here, it's 0. So C is 0. So how are we going to solve for B? We can choose a point. Let's say -1, -3 is my x and y. Write this formula. ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. Now remember, we have the x and the y, we have the a and the c. We're solving for b. Here, b is not the y-intercept. This is in standard form, and it's usually capitalized. So, but because I wrote these in little letters, I'm just going to use these. So the a is negative 3. What is x? -1. Be sure to put that -1 in parentheses before you square it. Why? What is the difference? -1 squared without parentheses, it's squaring the 1 and bringing down the negative. And see how that makes it -1. If you put parentheses -1 and then square it, that's +1. You want to plug in the number for x, not for x squared. So wherever x was, that's where you place the number. And the squared should be on the outside. Plus b times our x is still -1. What is the c? 0 equals y, which is -3. We know that -1 squared is 1. You can put that in the calculator. Just -3 times 1 should be -3. But I want to show you how to use the calculator. So that's -3. Plus -1 times b is -1b or minus b. Plus 0 equals -3. We don't need to bring down the 0. And I'm just showing you that I'm bringing everything down, but I don't need to put the 0 anymore. If we're solving for b, -3 minus b equals -3. I'm just simplifying. I would add 3 to each side. What do I bring down? -b. -3 plus 3 is 0. We want to find out what regular b is. It's not going to matter because it's 0, but I wanted to show you. If you have negative, that's like a -1 in front. Divide by -1 and b equals 0. So if we write the ax squared plus bx plus c equals y, remember our a is -3, x squared, b is 0 plus 0x plus 0 equals y. We don't need to write this down. We like it in the form of y equals. So when we write the answer to this, it would be y equals -3x squared. And this is a quadratic equation. A quadratic finds the constant difference after the second differences. So let's try one more. And this is going to be the third one and the last one that we'll do in this video. So looking at the difference, 100 minus 400, remember we subtracted, -300, 25 minus 100 is -75. 625 minus 25, 6.25 is -18.75. And this minus this is 14.0625. We did not find anything remotely close to being the same. So then when we subtract -75 minus -300, that becomes a positive sign, and that's 225. -18.75 minus -75 is 56.25, and this minus this is not going to be the same either. Let's go ahead and figure that one out. It's actually -4.6875 was the second value, minus -18.75. So I wrote, copying my notes wrong. This is 14.0625, -4.6875. So this second set of differences did not do it either. So it is not linear. It is not quadratic. So you check to see if it is exponential. So exponential has a ratio. So a ratio is a fraction. It's something to something else. So we're going to take the second number and divide it by the number in front of it. So 100 divided by 400, you could probably do that in your head, is 1/4. You might get 0.25. That's the same thing. A quarter is the same thing as 0.25 and 1/4. Take 25 divided by 100. You also get 1/4. 6.25 divided by 25, just to prove it, divided by 25 is 0.25 or 1/4. So we found a common ratio. That means this is exponential. So exponential is in the form of y equals a b to the x. And we just found the b. So b is 1/4. To put in x and y, we can choose any point, and then we'll solve for a. So let's choose 400. 3 is the x, 400 is the y. So we'll plug in 400 equals a times 1/4 to the third power. If we do 1/4 to the third power, we get 1/64 times a equals 400. So how do you solve when you have a fraction? You multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 64/1, or just multiply by 64. 64 times 400, a equals 25600, 25,600. So we found out what a is, and we have our b. Y equals a b to the x. So we'll say y equals 25,600, 1/4 to the x, and that is our answer. I hope that helps to figure out how to solve whether something's linear, quadratic, or exponential. God bless.